Here we are in the Time Tracker app login screen. I'm going to log in as employee Max Doe and click Sign In. We are going to make some purposeful work entry mistakes to show how you can get the different error codes. So I'm going to click on Work to start a mobile app work entry. If you were using the desktop version, same thing. Just click on Work to start a new work entry. Before we start making entries though, let's look at all the possible different error codes. On the mobile app version, we press on the question mark to see all the different error codes. If you're using the desktop version on your phone, go up to the sandwich and then press Help. On the desktop version, Help is on the right, but back to the app's help screen. The 6 possible errors you may get are the following. You punched in before the actual clock time, a GPS location was not recorded when punching in, the distance from work location exceeds maximum distance for punching in, you punched out after the actual clock time, a GPS location was not recorded when punching out, and the distance from work exceeds maximum distance for punching out. Let's look at punching in before the actual clock time first. What this means is you are setting your punch-in time for before you are actually punching in real time. For example, if the real time is 7:12 a.m., but you set your punch-in time before that, like for 7 a.m., for example, you are punching in before the actual clock time. The system records this as a late entry, and depending on how your employer has things set up, this can be dealt with in several different ways by your employer. So it is probably a good idea to ask your employer how they manage late entries. A GPS was not recorded when punching in or out. If you're making your entry and the satellite dish in the upper right doesn't turn green, it stays red, then your location cannot be recorded. It should turn green almost as fast as the page loads on your phone. In some instances, though, it can take a few moments to get a GPS location. If the phone cannot get a GPS location, most likely you have location services on your phone turned off or you have Wi-Fi turned off. The distance from work location exceeds maximum distance for punching in or out. Time Tracker only collects a GPS reading from your phone at the moment of making the entry. When you press Work, for example, Time Tracker looks up your location at that moment only. It is not tracking you. It usually happens faster than you can see, but in certain instances, it can take a few moments to find your location. Once it successfully has got a location, the satellite will turn green. Many apps keep running location services in the background, even when you are not using the app. Apps that have location services running in the background are constantly tracking your location, even when you're not using the app. Time Tracker does not do this. Time Tracker software only activates getting a location at the moment of making an entry with both the browser or app version. Let's press Home to get back to the app dashboard. Let's look at an entry. From the app dashboard, press Past Entries. On the upper right, we can see our errors on this entry. This one is for punching in too far, and this one for punching out too far. And at the bottom, you can see the map links for the GPS recorded when you punched in or out. Pressing either one of them will open Google Maps on your phone with the location recorded for that entry. Your employer sets up the address for each location. As well, they set up how far away from the address they entered an employee can be away from it. For example, an employer may select to measure in feet or meters and can fill in any distance they want. If you are getting this error, ask your employer how far away from the address you are allowed to be when punching in or out. The last error code to cover is punched out for after the actual clock time. Looking at a past work entry again, here is the error code for punching in before the actual clock time, and this one is for punching out after the actual clock time. This means that you are setting your punch-out time for later than your real time. In this example, The actual real time when punching out was 2:49, but the punch out time was set for 3 p.m. So you're punching out after the actual clock time. This is the last video in the series for employees. In our next video, we will cover bookkeeping settings for owners or admins.